Hollywood, California. Summer of 1966. The massive soundstage at Warner Brothers. Studio hummed with the controlled chaos of a television production in full swing. Enormous lights hung from the ceiling like artificial suns, casting pools of blazing illumination onto the set below, while leaving the corners shrouded in shadow. The air was thick with the smell of sawdust, fresh paint, and the peculiar metallic temps of hot electrical equipment. Cables snaked across the concrete floor like black serpents, and crew members moved with the practiced efficiency of soldiers preparing for battle. The Green Hornet was about to make television history. For the first time, an Asian actor would appear as a hero on American primetime television, not as a servant, not as a villain, not as comic relief, but as a genuine, ass-kicking hero. His name was Bruce Lee, and he had been cast as Kato, the masked sidekick whose martial arts skills would become the show's most talked-about element, but not everyone on set was impressed. Big Mike Russo leaned against a fake wall, his massive arms crossed over a chest that strained against his black t-shirt. At 6 feet 3 inches and 230 pounds of battle-hardened muscle, Mike was the senior stuntman on set, a position he had earned through 15 years of taking punches, falls, and hits that would hospitalize ordinary men. His nose had been broken 4 times. His knuckles were permanently swollen from his years as an amateur heavyweight boxer. In Hollywood's stunt community, they called him the Immovable because no actor had ever made him flinch, let alone fall. Without his conscious decision to do so, Mike watched the small Chinese man warming up in the corner of the set, throwing punches and kicks at the air with what Mike considered theatrical flourishes. Pretty moves, he thought. Dancing, the kind of stuff that looked good on camera but meant nothing in a real fight. Mike had sparred with professional boxers, had taken clean shots from men who could crack concrete with their fists. This skinny martial artist from Hong Kong, with his fancy black outfit and philosophical mumbling about water and adaptation, was supposed to make him fall down. Not a chance. The tension on set had been building for 3 days. The stunt team, all veterans of countless Western brawls and war movie explosions, viewed Bruce Lee with a mixture of curiosity and contempt. He wasn't one of them. He hadn't paid his dues in the trenches of Hollywood stunt work, and now he was supposed to be the star of the fight scenes. If you want to discover what happened when Bruce Lee was forced to prove that his power was devastatingly real, and learn how a single punch changed Hollywood's approach to martial arts forever, stay until the end of this story. You won't regret it. The morning had started with optimism. Director William Bodine, a veteran of over 350 films, had blocked out a fight sequence where Kato would dispatch 3 henchmen in rapid succession. The choreography was simple. Bruce would throw punches and kicks, the stuntmen would react and fall, and the camera would capture it all in dynamic angles that would thrill audiences across America. The first 2 stuntmen, younger and more open-minded, had watched Bruce's demonstrations during rehearsal and understood immediately that this man moved differently than any actor they had worked with. They committed to their reactions, falling convincingly when Bruce's controlled strikes whispered past their faces. But Big Mike was the final opponent in the sequence, the boss henchman who would receive Kato's most spectacular technique. And Big Mike had decided that he wasn't going to play along. Cut, Bodine shouted for the 4th time that morning. He pulled off his glasses and rubbed his eyes in frustration. Mike, you have to react to the punch. You're standing there like a statue. Mike shrugged his enormous shoulders. I'm reacting the way I'd react if someone actually hit me like that. Which is not at all. He shot a glance toward Bruce, who stood silently nearby. Maybe if the punch actually had some power behind it, I'd have something to react to. A ripple of uncomfortable murmurs spread through the crew. Everyone sensed where this was heading. Bruce stepped forward, his expression calm as still water. Perhaps we should discuss the choreography again. I can adjust my technique to give you a better visual cue for when to visual cue. Mike interrupted with a harsh laugh. I don't need cues, pal. I've been doing this for 15 years. I've taken real punches from real fighters. He pushed off from the wall and walked toward Bruce, stopping just a few feet away. The size difference was almost comical. Mike towered over Bruce like a grizzly bear facing a panther. The problem isn't my reaction. The problem is, there's nothing to react to. Your little kung fu dancing doesn't have any real power. It's all flash, no substance. The set fell completely silent. Even the grips stopped coiling cables. All eyes moved between the massive stuntman and the compact martial artist. Bruce's expression didn't change. "You believe my techniques lack power?" "I know they do." Mike's voice carried the absolute confidence of a man who had never been proven wrong. "I've been hit by the best. Boxers, wrestlers, bar fighters. None of them moved me unless I decided to move." And you looked Bruce up and down dismissively. "You're what? 140 pounds? 145. I've got nearly 100 pounds on you, plus actual fighting experience. Your movie tricks won't work on someone who knows the difference between real and fake." Director Bodine stepped forward nervously. "Gentlemen, perhaps we should take a break." And no, Mike cut him off, his eyes locked on Bruce. "I want to settle this right now. Hit me." He spread his arms wide, presenting his chest as a target. "Not your little pulled movie punch. Hit me for real. Everything you've got. Prove to everyone here that your martial arts isn't just dancing for cameras." A cruel smile spread across his face. "When I don't move, and I won't move. Maybe then we can have an honest conversation about how to make these fight scenes actually work." The challenge hung in the air like a guillotine blade waiting to fall. Several crew members exchanged worried glances. This was exactly the kind of testosterone-fueled confrontation that could shut down production, cause injuries, and end careers. Bruce remained motionless for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft but carried clearly across the silent soundstage. "You want me to hit you with full power? You are certain about this?" "Absolutely certain." Mike planted his feet in a boxer's stance, lowering his center of gravity. His hands came up slightly, not to guard, but to demonstrate that he wasn't even bothering to protect himself. "Give me your best shot, little man. Right here." He tapped his sternum with 2 fingers. "Show me this legendary kung fu power everyone's been whispering about." Bruce nodded slowly. "Very well, but I must warn you, I will only do this once, and you should not brace yourself." Mike laughed. "Don't brace myself. That's your advice?" He deliberately tensed his entire body, every muscle locking into place like armor made of flesh. "I'm braced. I'm ready. Now stop stalling," and he never finished the sentence. Bruce's movement was so fast that the human eye could not track it. There was no wind-up, no telegraphing, no preparatory motion of any kind. His fist simply materialized against Big Mike's chest as if it had teleported through space. The sound was unlike anything the crew had ever heard. Not the meaty thwack of a boxing punch, but something deeper, more resonant, like a bass drum being struck with a sledgehammer. For one frozen instant, nothing happened. Then Big Mike Russo, 230 pounds of seasoned stuntman, who had never been moved by any actor in 15 years of Hollywood work, flew backward. His feet left the ground completely. His massive body sailed through the air for nearly 8 feet, before crashing into a stack of equipment cases with a thunderous clatter that echoed through the soundstage. Cables scattered. A light stand toppled. The cases collapsed beneath him like cardboard. Absolute silence. Nobody breathed. The crew stood frozen, their minds struggling to process what their eyes had just witnessed. It was impossible. It defied everything they understood about physics, about fighting, about the fundamental relationship between size and power. Big Mike lay in the wreckage, gasping for air like a fish pulled from water. His eyes were wide with shock, staring at the ceiling as his lungs fought to remember how to function. Several seconds passed before he managed to roll onto his side, one hand pressed against his chest where Bruce's fist had landed. "What? ... he wheezed, still struggling to breathe. "What the hell was that?" Bruce walked over calmly and extended his hand. "That was real. Are you injured?" Mike stared at the offered hand for a long moment. Every assumption he had ever made about fighting, about martial arts, about this small Chinese man had been shattered in a fraction of a second. He had been hit by heavyweight boxers. He had taken shots from men who outweighed him. None of it, compared to what he had just experienced. The power hadn't just pushed him, it had penetrated through him, disrupting something fundamental in his body's ability to remain standing. He grasped Bruce's hand and allowed himself to be pulled to his feet. His legs wobbled slightly, still uncertain if they could be trusted. "I don't understand," Mike said quietly, all arrogance stripped from his voice. "I was braced. I was ready. I've taken punches from men bigger than me." "How did you—" Bruce's expression held no triumph, no mockery, only the patience of a teacher who had delivered a necessary lesson. "You braced against the punch you expected," he explained, "a push of force meeting resistance. But my strike does not push. It penetrates. The energy passes through your surface defenses and disrupts your structure from within." He placed a gentle hand on Mike's shoulder. "Size and strength are valuable, but they are not the only factors in combat. The man who relies only on size will always be vulnerable to the man who understands energy." Mike nodded slowly, his hand still pressed against his chest. He could feel his heart pounding beneath his palm, feel the strange resonance that seemed to vibrate through his bones. In 15 years, nobody has ever." He couldn't finish the sentence. "You are a professional," Bruce said with genuine respect. "Your ability to take punishment is impressive. But taking punishment and understanding power are different skills." He smiled slightly. "Now perhaps we can work together properly. I will control my techniques. You will react authentically. And together, we will create fight scenes that honor both of our abilities." Something shifted in Big Mike's eyes. The skepticism, the contempt, the dismissive arrogance, all of it dissolved, replaced by something that looked remarkably like reverence. He had spent 15 years believing he understood combat. In 1 second, Bruce Lee had revealed how much he had yet to learn. "Yeah," Mike said finally, a genuine smile breaking across his weathered face. "Yeah, I think we can do that." He extended his hand again, this time for a handshake. "I was wrong about you. Completely wrong. I apologize." Bruce shook his hand firmly. "There is no need for apology. You were testing reality against assumption. That is the path of all genuine learning." From that day forward, Big Mike Russo became Bruce Lee's most vocal supporter on set. He told the story of that punch to anyone who would listen, and his description grew more vivid with each telling, though he always insisted that no words could truly capture the experience. When skeptical stuntmen from other productions questioned Bruce Lee's legitimacy, Mike would fix them with a hard stare and say, "I've taken punches from heavyweight champions. None of them even wobbled me. That little man put me on the floor from 3 feet away. Don't talk to me about what's real and what's fake until you've felt what I felt." The incident transformed how the Green Hornet filmed its fight sequences. Director Bodine, who had witnessed everything, gave Bruce unprecedented control over the choreography. The stuntmen, having heard Mike's testimony and seen the evidence with their own eyes, committed fully to their reactions. The result was fight footage unlike anything American television had ever broadcast. Dynamic, explosive, and crackling with an authenticity that audiences could feel even through their television screens. When Bruce Lee had become a global icon, Big Mike would attend screenings of his films with an almost paternal pride. He would tell younger stuntmen about the lesson he had learned on that soundstage in 1966, not just about the physics of power, but about the danger of assumptions. "I walked onto that set thinking I knew everything about fighting," he would say, his voice carrying the weight of hard-won wisdom. 15 years of experience, and I thought some skinny martial artist couldn't teach me anything. Bruce didn't just knock me down, he knocked down everything I thought I knew, and that was the greatest gift anyone ever gave me. Bruce Lee often said that the first step in learning was to empty your cup, to release your assumptions so that new knowledge could enter. On that summer day in Hollywood, a veteran stuntman learned the truth of those words, not through philosophy or meditation, but through the undeniable reality of flying through the air and landing on his back, humbled by a power he had never imagined possible. If this story inspired you to question your own assumptions and stay open to unexpected lessons, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Share this story with someone who needs to hear that real power doesn't always come from size. Leave a comment telling us about a time when you discovered that everything you thought you knew was wrong. We'll see you in the next video with more incredible stories from the world of martial arts.